It's a beautiful day, the 24th day in the month of April 2025. Welcome to the show. VOP this morning. And yes, Nigerians are talking about the government. Government have said, look, we monies here and there. And some saying we can't see the money. Is it audio money? Well, one of the conversations we'll talk about. We'll let you into the station proper time. Humphrey conversations, of course, this morning is the defection in Delta State, where we've seen the governor, Sheriff Oboriwori, former governor Okowa, and the entire PDP crew in Delta State picked up their bags and baggage and walked straight into the office of APC to say, look, we are pitching our tent here with you. And that's how it is. Well, we'll x-ray all of this. There are probably reasons why a traditionally PDP state will, in less than 24 hours, be reborn as an APC state. Oh, well, we'll talk about that one in the program, of course.
In talking about monies and how people are reacting to it, here in Nigeria's education sector, Tinubu's 50 billion naira education sparks doubt. As ASUU demands proof, I am Fina Okechukwu. Stay tuned because we'll look into this also.
And good morning and thanks for joining us on VOP this morning. I am Chukwuma Okoro. State of the nation, Nigerians enabling their own oppressors. Sowore slams national silence. Well, these are the major topics of discussion for today. But we also have other interesting stories, and you can also be a part of this conversation, you know, by calling on the number that is showing on your screen, 0904-473-2605. You can also, we are on YouTube, we are broadcasting on YouTube. Click the subscription button. We are at VOP TV Live, and other social media platforms. We are also at VOP TV Live. Now, talking about other trending stories. Now, Governor Omar Bago of Niger State has reversed his earlier directive to arrest people with dreadlocks, clarifying that his comments targeted courtists, not law citizens. Initial order, which arrest, haircuts, and fines, sparked major backlash on social media and from rights groups. In a follow-up statement, Bago claimed his words were misunderstood and blamed the media propaganda for the uproar. He emphasized that the real focus is on criminal elements, using dreadlocks to disguise cult affiliations and not on personal style of fashion. Oh well, it's good that the government has made a recant, but it clearly tells me one thing. People in government don't always case of Bago. People to shave their beards, dreadlocks, and all of that, because it's more like stereotyping, if you ask me. But it's like I said, it's good that it has made a recant and said, look, the tag criminals and all of that. But it also tells me that, like I said, to do is before you roll out a policy, if you're always run through policies. You have people that handle you. Sit with them, discuss them back to this is what I want to do. And after less than 48 hours, you are coming to say what I meant to say. You know, it doesn't give a very good impression about how policies are made. And it also brings to the issue, for the issue of charisma. We have people who are very charismatic, but what do? They don't even do anything. They just populism. Like Robert Hogan said that charisma is poison. If you look through, you see people that are very eloquent, people that are very populist. They plan on populism to get popularity in society. But if you go back, I'm talking about elected leaders. If you go back in time, you discover that they don't do anything. They don't even give dividends of democracy. to their people. I can point out 1, 2, 3 across this country. People that are very eloquent, people that are very outspoken, back and check. They have not done anything for their constituents. Well, that said, Governor, it's good that you have made this clarification, but please, next time, check with their people before you come out. Otherwise, that you are, you don't have a handle on what you are doing.
Well, I don't think there's anything good about the governor recanting, because we know how things work here, where certain law enforcement agents follow I think it's the last command they're supposed to follow, but then you will still find people terrorizing, and I use that word loosely, terrorizing citizens with dreadlocks, regardless of the fact that the governor has recanted. There will still be people that will be harassed. I mean, without even the governor speaking, without Mohammed Bago speaking, we have in some parts of the country where they see you on dreadlocks, they see you on shredded jeans, they harass you already. You're profiled. You're walking down the street with your hair locked, your jeans packed with a certain amount of money. We see these things happen already. It speaks volumes to our sensibilities here, how we think in Nigeria. It's quite unfortunate. Now, when you talk about certain individuals speaking to a cult group, which cult group really? We need to be a lot more specific. We have insecurity being perpetrated in parts of Nigeria. We have insecurity in that particular state. You're not addressing the insecurity. You're speaking to which cult group? We have Rastafarianism is a culture, it's a religion. And we have some of them here in Nigeria. That's what they practice. So they leave their hair, they leave it, it gets into locks, and then they speak patois in the way they know how to. We have Orthodox churches that consider themselves Nazareans. They keep locks as well. Some of them, I think some of these white garment churches and the rest, they keep locks. It's a tradition. It's a religion for them. So would you now start clamping down on them because they have locks? Does that automatically make them cultists? Statement has been made. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, we will still see security agencies harass these individuals. And if care is not taken, those that harass them will go unpunished. Now, Chukuma was saying some of these governors some of political office holders don't think through the policies. I think they just speak off the cuff, really, because we hear some of these statements are made at events that they attend. So just at the spur of the moment, they drop something, it becomes a policy, and then when there's a backlash from the people, then they go and recant. Sometimes it flies. It's really unfortunate.
Quite unfortunate. Otumba, I wanted you to land on your thought before. When you said that, look, there's nothing good in the governor recanting, I also like the fact that you say that even before the governor made that statement, that these things were happening, especially with the security agencies. What do you need to do to get apprehended by security agencies is don't even wear a dreadlock. Just pierce your ear and wear one earring, and wear a tongue, and they will just clamp on you. So probably what the governor has done is to absolve himself from any blame, to say the governor said. Now the governor has come out to say, I didn't say again.
Medicine after death.
Medicine after death, more like an afterthought. But it's also good. Is it medicine after death? No. Medicine in the course of the sickness. Medicine in the course of the sickness. So, Fina?
I spoke to someone in Niger State yesterday, to get the person's view in this regard. And the person made me to understand that it's not just about people who are carrying dreadlocks. The governor also made statements regarding people who also move around in the night, especially in Mina, to be precise, the state capital. He also placed curfew on tricycle and all that, even bikes from 6 to 6, And then this person was crying that going for evening shift now is a big difficult for them to do because they don't have any means of getting to their destination and all that. But it's a beautiful thing that the governor come up. Umar Rubago yesterday also said that I am not targeting individuals with dreadlocks. People can come into Niger State to do their businesses in while they're on dreadlocks. But it's just that he wants to cram down on those, according to him, he called them cultists. This person also affirmed the fact that some unscrupulous elements in Mina have been, will I say, robbing people of their property, constituting nuisance and all that, and that was only, and the people that
trademark is the
dreadlocks, yes, and those that they've arrested also, most of them also happen to be on dreads and all that. But that is from Bago.
See,
what about
like,
governor of Anambra
like saying,
State?
No, I don't want to go to Anambra State.
I will get there. I will get there now.
Bago. It's like saying those that wear red. If you wear red T-shirt, you are a cult individual, and you should be arrested.
No.
We know that some cultists associate with colors like that, but it doesn't automatically mean that everyone that puts on, every young man, because it has to do with men, every young man that puts on color red is associating with the cult group.
Now the thing doesn't allow. When I was also talking to this, I was supposed to say that although the people that they've caught and paraded in Niger State, in Mina to be precise, with dreadlocks actually, they have this affiliation with a particular gang of people who have been causing one or two harm to the people residing in that state capital. And I believe that the people, when they pick them, also they ask questions. They don't just go ahead and catch you as someone who have dreadlocks and deal with it.
But now bring it back to... You're sounding as if you've not been in Nigeria.
I'm taking my time.
You'll be arrested for just, going to buy something. By the time they panel beat you, you confess to being a criminal.
Yes, I know that also happened. Now, you know what? When I say I will react to this story last, the thing is this. If, for example, if you get to Edo State, Benin to be precise now, if you put on a rape gene, you're in trouble. Yeah, the governor did not give any directive to the police officers there or to the security personnel there. But if you put it on a rape gene, if you venture sad, and then God now help you, your PSC or ear, like Chuma rightly pointed out, or maybe you have this weird look or you're keeping birds, you're in big trouble because they will arrest you and they'll deal with you. Now, take it to Anambra State. The governor also made a statement to this regard. People who are on dreadlocks should be arrested. People who dress indecently should be arrested. And I asked, what do you term indecent dressing in that state? If you're putting on a rape gene, you're in trouble, especially in Onitsha and in Oka, in other cities or metropolitan town. Now, the thing is this, I'm sorry, with all due respect to our elected officers, we are majoring on the minor and minor on the major. We have issue of insecurity bedeviling the country. And the only thing you can think about is how to shut up the youths who are out there to talk, people who are vibrant. I'm talking about vibrant Nigerian youths. And then the only thing you can do is to cram them down, to give them that. You want to put them, enshrine them in that particular cave where you shouldn't dress this way, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. If I see you doing this, you're in trouble. People are being restricted from moving. You're taking away people's fundamental human rights. Freedom of movement is being restricted, as the case may be, because you're trying to squash few elements or individual in the state that is causing one or two harm to people of the state, and then you have to penalize everybody, just like the removal of subsidy. The government told us that some individuals in Nigeria, about 5% of Nigerians, are the ones benefiting and sucking Nigeria dry, and they couldn't fish them out. But they went ahead to say other persons, over 200 million Nigerians, are going to suffer the crime of few individuals. That's what is happening in all the states. I'm sorry to say, in all the states, not just in Niger, because Bago made it known. It's happening in Edo State. It's happening in Anambra State. It's happening sometimes also, I think, in Enugu State and all that. And we need to look inwardly and know what the problem is and handle it, rather than stereotyping or pushing down or gagging or trying to suppress the youth from talking. Away from that, we have another story that says Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia appointed music icon Innocent Idibia as technical advisor on entertainment and community outreach. The announcement came during Two-Face's visit to the government house, where the governor praised him for supporting his administration and endorsing his 2027 re-election bid. Alia described Two-Face as an entertainment guru and expressed confidence in his ability to positively impact lives through the new role. And the first question I want to ask is, who are the people that Two-Face will be impacting lives to? Is it the people in IDP camps, if I'm to ask? Or do people that have been subjected to paying levies to bandits? The other day, Hyacinth Alia told Nigerians that the people or the unscrupulous element in that state that have been causing mayhem are not the Benue people. They are foreigners. Those that have been able to apprehend, they speak foreign languages. And he couldn't fish them out. And he couldn't make people who are living in IDP camps now, people that have run away from their ancestral homes because they cannot be there because of the issue of insecurity, now go back to their places. And he couldn't look for a way to say he is sending, people that should go into the communities, into the states, into the hinterland to make sure that lives and properties of the people of Benue State are being protected. But rather he's here talking about 2027 re-election. I wonder who are the people that will be out there now to do this. If Benue State is boiling the way it is, if people are being killed the way they're being killed before the 2027 election, who are the people that will be out there to cast their votes for you, Hyacinth Alia? That's a question I want to ask on this table at this time.
Well, I think that's exactly the question I wanted to ask too. And what did Two-Face go to do in Makurdi? Did he go for a condolence visit? Or what? Because actually that is what he's supposed to do at this moment. He went to see the governor, and the governor appointed him whatever on entertainment because he is supporting his government and also his 2027 bid. When people are mourning in a state like Benue State, where in less than 2 weeks, that state has lost more than 150 people in cold blood, and you have a governor celebrating a music icon, making an appointment, when he should be busy trying to mobilize his people to ward off these attackers. Anyway, I'm not surprised.
Well, okay. I have absolutely nothing against the appointment of Tubaba Innocent Dibia. I have nothing against the appointment. I mean, Sheyi Law was appointed in Ondo State.
At what point, Otumba?
Now, that is where I will get to. The timing of this appointment is the issue. The appointment itself is not an issue. You can appoint anybody. Two-Face has an influence. I mean, he has quite the he has the fan base. People follow him. So making him technical advisor on entertainment, yes, the people might need some sort of, but the timing is the problem. These are not the times. There is a death. People have been killed in their homeland. Over 100 have been killed in the past 1 month. So appointing someone as a technical advisor on entertainment is not the right thing to do at this time. And then not just the appointment now, the fact that it is tied to support from previous elections and support for upcoming elections. This goes to say that elected officials care little about governance, and they care more about holding on to power, being in office, elections. That's all they care about. And I wonder what INEC will be doing, because in some parts of Nigeria, we've seen full-blown campaign taking place. In, was it Delta State yesterday? There were placards, there were banners, campaign train, full-blown campaign train in Delta State yesterday. And then you start to ask yourself, what is going on? In some parts of Lagos too, there are places where you go to, you see buses branded, the president's picture and that of other political office holders campaigning for 2027. It's not even time for campaigns yet. There's a lot of people are dealing with. Hunger is on the land. People are going to bed empty hungry or empty hunger. Yeah, that's a popular phrase here. So people are starving, and what you're thinking about is elections. I mean, the president went to, look at his policies so far, and then he came back, and we are seeing campaigns taking place in some parts of the country already. Has he given himself thumbs up for the past 2 years, and for the fact to see other politicians saying that, look, we are moving to the APC because we know that 2027 is secure for us if we move. Anyway, it's part of the conversations we are having this morning. But for Hyacinth Alia, Reverend, he's a Reverend, right?
Yes,
Reverend Hyacinth Alia, wrong timing for what ordinarily would have been a good appointment. But I think we should think before we act, going forward. Oh well, we do have another conversation now. Workers of the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NiMet, started an indefinite nationwide strike yesterday, and that paralyzed meteorological services across Nigeria. Well, we talked about this yesterday. The strike began, 7 a.m. I think it began from Tuesday evening, actually. And they've been talking about poor remuneration, poor wages, wages that date back to 2019 minimum wage that they haven't collected, 2019 minimum wage that they've not collected. Well, NiMet staff claimed they are underpaid compared to colleagues in similar agencies. And the workers are demanding fair remuneration and improved working conditions. Well, they went ahead, they protested, they picketed airport facilities, while union leaders criticized the government's inaction and called for urgent review of NiMet's conditions. I think every agency needs improved working conditions. In NiMet, I hear there's emphasis on retreats, but then it's on the managerial level. Those that do the work, those that need some sort of retraining are not getting the retraining that they need. And this has affected flight operations in Nigeria as airlines, basically shut down yesterday. Airlines refused to fly because they weren't getting, up-to-date information on the weather. And we know the rains are upon us. And the weather the past few days has been horrible. So if a particular airline attempted to fly yesterday, but without accurate data, was just taxied about 2-3 times and went to park. Yes. And passengers are having to, miss out on flights as well. So there are critical agencies that should be attended to. We can't be talking about minimum wage from 2019 in 2023 when we've also had an upgrade in the minimum wage, supposedly across board. So what exactly is going on? Must people go on strike before government pays attention to their needs and demands? It mustn't be like this. We are humans.
So Moses, when you say
he was going to call me October.
When you say what's going on, what is going on is that this government, previous government, they never cared for the people. You talk about critical sector. Is education not critical? ASUU is crying out. We haven't seen the alert. Is it audio alert? Doctors have gone on strike several times. And I'm just wondering, after yesterday, like we were here, we are close to the international airport and even the local airport. And there's another one that is flying above this office now. So what happened? Have they improvised? You wouldn't know. But anybody that does that will be doing it at his or her own risk. Like yesterday, I just joked about it sarcastically. I said, maybe if NiMet is not there, they can use Google. They can use Google Map to find out all of those. But that was a joke. But the question I asked, as we speak now, has that issue been resolved? There's a critical sector. We're talking about foreign direct investment. Imagine that a group of South Koreans, who have been discussing the building of a refinery, and they are trying to come into Nigeria at this moment. And all of a sudden they say, look, you cannot come into Nigeria because you cannot guarantee you a safe landing. What does that tell them? What is it going to tell them? How about Europeans? How about Asians? Our president has been all about town, all around the world. He spent 2 weeks plus in Europe, shopping for doing official work and shopping for investors here and there. And all of a sudden, we have one small agency of government that is anyway quite critical to our operations as a nation, and they are asking for remunerations that date back to 2019. And because of that, the foreigners who have dollar, euro, pounds, yuan in their briefcases, they cannot come because a small section of the economy is down by negligence. What does that tell you? Does it tell you that we are serious people? So if you begin to interrogate all of these things, I think across board, the government should do the needful. We have a labor minister. What is the labor ministry doing? Just talking, giving out sound bites and all of that. They should get down to the nitty-gritty, to the basics of it, and ensure that, look, anything that will put a cog in the wheel of progress on our economic development, Please sort it out. Incidentally, if you look at the amount involved, it might not even be up to like the money that are used to buy certain things, like wares, kitchen wares. In some places, it might not even be up to the amount of money that is used to renovate the house, the Agoda house where the vice president lives, 21 billion naira. How much is ASUU asking for? ASUU has been asking for 200 billion naira for the past how many years? How much have we done with that? Free tag by people in government. Unfortunately, that is what it is. You know?
For the people asking of what importance is NiMet to Nigeria, just for you to know that without NiMet and the accurate data that they provide for Nigerians, the aviation sector, will not have a clear or vivid idea of what the climate and weather also, I'm talking about the information on weather and climate is all about. And also they play a crucial role in socioeconomic development and disaster risk management too. So when you hear that a particular place will be flooded, it's coming from NiMet. And we know, yes, they've been doing the needful, they've been doing what they could to make sure that, the aviation sector, for now, we've not had anything, contrary to the information that they project or they pull out there for Nigerians to understand. I'm talking about the weather forecast, where we'll have a clear weather for planes to take off and for them to land and all that. And also they've been talking about the flood alerts too. It's from NiMet too. So if governments really value the lives of Nigerians and they are ready for them to get, like Chukuma rightly said, this FDI that will be champion, we're talking about all this while, I think they should look at the NiMet and their cry and know that that sector is a very important one in every nation. That's all I can say, to that regard. And we'll go on a quick break. I believe that's how far we can go and talking about trending stories. We'll go on a quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll take a peep on the cover pages of the national dailies today. Do well to stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's still VOP this morning, and it's time for us to look at the cover pages of the national dailies today. And we have a whole lot on our table, but I would like to start off from the Daily Independent newspaper. The banner headline on the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper today reads, "A chaos as Air Peace suspends flight amid NiMet staff strike." Right as to that, flight services disruptions, passengers frustration deepen, fear of revenue loss by agencies, airlines, orders heightens. Window headlines are Governor Oberevori, Deputy Commissioners, Okowa defect to APC, Governor leaving organized party for unorganized one. That's coming from Bode George. We need help to drive out headers, killing Benue people, Governor. FG vows to probe alleged soldiers' complicity in Benue attacks. Only pretentious minister claims 150 million Nigerians enjoy electricity. NLC. We are resolving contentious issues ahead of 2027. That's coming from PDP. IMF asks Nigeria to improve food security, scale up social spending. We have another bold headline on the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper. Insecurity. Tinubu issues new directives to security chiefs. Says urgency for climate action. Now more imperative. The bottom strip. Pension assets exceeds at 23 trillion naira, says Pencom. Those are the stories you'll find on the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper today.
A Nigerian Tribune has its headlines, "Why We Joined APC, Delta Governor, Okowa, Others." Explain how Ibadan PDP governors meeting aided exit. Senator Kawu dumps NNPP for APC in Kano. Edo LP Senator Imasuen set to defect to APC. Sixth-term Osun federal lawmaker, quits PDP. And window headlines here. NLC tackles power minister on claims of adequate electricity supply to 150 million Nigerians. Pencom recovers 1.58 billion naira from defaulting employers as pension assets hit 23 trillion naira. Chief of Army Staff orders troops to clear Kwara, Niger of bandits in 1 month. All right, and then we have another 2 killed. Over 20 farms destroyed by bandits in Plateau. 2027, why we will back Tinubu CPC block. Flight operations disrupted by as NiMet workers down tools. Air Peace suspends flight. Earned allowances. FG releases 50 billion naira to ASUU. Other unions. Ahead of burial, thousands queue to catch glimpse of Pope Francis' body. Well, these are the headlines from the Nigerian Tribune, and this is how far we can go on newspaper headlines. But join us again at 10 o'clock for newspaper review. In the meantime, let's get into the conversation. We'll take a break. When we come back, party politics, that's what we'll be talking about. Oboriwori Okowa, lead infiltration mission into APC as 2027 election approaches. Join us again.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP this morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Well, thanks for joining us. And let's get into the topic now. In what appears to be one of the boldest political maneuvers in recent Nigerian history, Delta State Governor Sheriff Oboriwori has led a mass defection of top PDP heavyweights, including former governor and 2023 vice presidential candidate Ifeanyi Okowa. Well, Deputy Governor Monday Onyeme, the State Assembly Speaker, and all 25 local government chairmen have moved to the All Progressives Congress APC. Now, while the move has been publicly framed as a shift in political allegiance ahead of 2027 general elections, Nigerians are interpreting it differently. Well, some suggest this may be a strategic infiltration designed to realign the APC structure from within, rather than a genuine ideological shift. Well, the shockwave has rattled both parties as PDP strongholds began to crumble, and APC loyalists question the integrity of welcoming former rivals. Now, whether this mass realignment is the beginning of a political rebirth or the start of internal party conflict remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. The chessboard for 2027 has already been flipped. Oh well. We have joining us in the studio, we have Dr. Gani Oluwashola, Managing Partner, KJB Professional Services. Good to have you join the conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And virtually, we have Prince Nixon Okwara, who is a public affairs analyst and Managing Partner, Onyx Group. Well, we also, he'll be joining us from Port Harcourt. And then also from Rivers State, we have Barrister Asim Adams. Well, I guess we'll let you know when Barrister Asim Adams joins the conversation. But I do hope that Prince Nixon is in already. Well, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you today?
Very well. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
You should be
I can
good.
see you're shining, looking so bright this
But
morning.
you should be good. You should be good. I mean, your party is gathering people. We know politics is all about the numbers. And your party, APC, seems to be doing you proud, doing themselves proud. And
Oh, sure. I'm very confident in what our party is doing. And I bet you, I recall when I told you the last time that 2027 is already won. So we're not talking about that. Opposition should be thinking about 2031 if they will be able to take power, not 2027.
Okay. All right. Let's
So we
start
are
on that
confident.
premise now. Now, there were people in the APC before now. Ovie Omoagege contested along with Sheriff Oboriwori for the 2020 during the 2023 elections. Now that the governor Oboriwori has moved to the APC, do you think Ovie Omoagege, who is a long-standing member in the APC, will take the back seat in 2027?
I don't think that will be an issue, having the fact that the man at the helm of affairs knows how to manage political issues like that. You see, it's about interests. It's about the party first before any other person. So whatever the situation, whatever the interest is, it will be resolved, I bet you, like a family. You know, I keep saying something that our President Tinubu, is not just a man or a country. He's a world power, he's an institution, a political party himself, a living ideology. So when you talk about strategy, courage, structure, and leadership, you know, that's his core areas. You see how he manage all this. At the end of the day, we will come out stronger.
Okay.
But it's a good thing for Delta State because since 1999, that has been PDP, and with over 50 billion annual returns, they have nothing to show for it. So I believe that we are bringing the APC ideology into Delta State, and they will be well out of it.
All right then. Well, some people say, APC and PDP contested for elections. The people largely voted for PDP. Now, were the people consulted before this move, or are politicians just all about themselves? Anyway, let's bring it to the studio now. Dr. Gani, when you heard about this move, I mean, when I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, this is massive. This is incredible. What was your first reaction, and what do you portend for the future?
See, when I saw it, I was amazed, and I guess Wike will be laughing and will be throwing towns and saying that, oh, you know, they actually circumvent such thing for him. Wike was supposed to be the vice president. When he wasn't given the seat of number one, he was supposed to go along with Atiku, right? And somehow, some way, it was sidelined. Then Ifeanyi Okowa was brought in. So that becomes one of the nosediving of the party, because Wike felt insulted, felt deceived, and he felt a bit used and dumped. That was why he said he's going to show them. So that is the reason why he did not even turn the state for PDP in terms of presidential, and turn it for PDP in terms of governorship election. So I think now he will be laughing and he'll be saying that, oh, these are things he's saying. So he will be saying that he's justified by his action, right?
But do you think the likes of Omoagege will, sheath their sword and take the back seat and drop their own ambition to become governor?
So this is where I'm coming to. Even coming from that party, cross-carpeting, this is what we call political prostitute. Yeah? Political prostitute and cross-carpeting. You see, in real sense, in a sane environment, the reason why we know what the law talks about in terms of Honorable Begunde versus Labour Party in Ondo State then, which was one of the platforms they were using to fight them in River State when those 27 members decamped to APC on the live TV, and they discovered that they are gradually losing out politically and losing their seat, so they reverted and said they didn't say that. It was an error or a slip of tongue, that they are still full-fledged member of PDP, and that was why the Supreme Court judgment was in their favor, right? So, and the law says that for you to move from one party to another, there should be a kind of breakdown in that party. Okay. There should be a kind of rancor showing that it is an issue that cannot be resolved. So when a whole party system in a state cross-carpeted into another party.
So what can we say is the trouble in the party now?
There's no trouble. There's no trouble. So folding our hands and let it fly is because nobody is having a pain there, right? If it's an issue between the House of Assembly and the governor, that's when the law will be fighting here and there. But now, what they've done is totally against the law and against the judgment of the Supreme Court. Because as we speak now, we still have the standing judgment of the Supreme Court saying that you cannot cross-carpet unless there's an issue in that party. So automatically, when you cross-carpet, automatically you lose your seat. And if you know that you have the courage, you have the crowd, you have the impact, go to the polling unit and go and recontest to retain that seat.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Gani. You will see how the current, what is left of the PDP, how much they are going to contest that. I'm sure that they also go to court. I want to go back to Prince Nixon Opera. Prince Nixon, I'm happy that you are very proud of the strides, the giant strides that your party, the APC, is making. But for Delta State, for the former governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, to move to APC, is it because of what your party stands for? Like the former chairman of national chairman of your party, Adams Shomole, said that, look, if you have a problem, the moment you cross over to APC, your sins are forgiven. Comrade Nixon, Prince Nixon, is your party a party of thieves?
A party of, what did you say? Is it a party
of thieves? Ifeanyi Okowa is undergoing investigation.
As a matter of fact.
So hold it, Prince. Let me land on my question. I've not finished. Ifeanyi Okowa is undergoing investigation of 1.3 trillion naira. Within 3 months of that investigation, he moves over to APC. And he goes along with his protege. The national chairman of your party, Abdullahi Ganduje, was caught on camera stuffing dollars into his agbada. The national chairman of your party. Senator Ojo Okalo was jailed for 7.8 billion naira of Abia State that he took. The court pardoned him. He went over to APC. Senate President Godswill Akpabio was undergoing investigation while he was in the PDP. He moved over to the APC and became the Senate President under the APC. Prince Nixon, how proud are you of your party? I have no names to mention.
I'm very proud of my party because I'm happy to hear that none of these people were convicted. Everything is based on accusation and allegation, and whoever alleged must prove. And I'm not sure that anybody has been able to prove anything in a court of competent jurisdiction on Akpabio or any of the names you mentioned. And Ojis Okalu, you also said the court of competent jurisdiction gave him a pardon. So in all these things, does that make a party who is without sin? Even in the Bible, Jesus Christ said, who is without sin, let him first of all throw a stone. And we're talking about political party here. Is politics about moral justification, or is it another religious gathering?
When we are playing politics, walk through that too. What do you think that politics should be at this point in time in Nigeria? Should it be based on moral justification and all that, or should we continue to applaud decadence even when people are trying to project their own interest?
I beg your pardon?
Prince Nixon, you asked a question, if politics is now more like a place where we have, It's not a religious gathering where we have a whole lot of persons preaching morals and all that. Now, should we applaud decadence because I want to champion people's interests, now making it look more like Nigerian politics? Because it's only in Nigeria that we see all these anomalies. In other places, for example, where we copy democracy from, we know how the opposition parties work, even with elected parties or people in office or people in power.
Where you get that facts and figures that to say it's only in Nigeria you are seeing the opposition shifts. I can recall, take you to even as far back as 1930s in America. There was a realignment when the Franklin Roosevelt realignment. We have also the Reagan Revolution of the 1980s in the US. We have 79 in United Kingdom. There was French under Brexit too. We have coalition. We have French coalition under, I think that was 2017. There were several places who have had alliances and realignment in politics, and that is politics for you.
So now Prince Nixon, the question is this: should we continue to abound in sin for grace? Should we continue to commit sin for grace to abound? Now, are we now going to look away from the moral nature of politics just because we want to champion a particular interest?
I'm sorry, Fina. Prince, the point is this. You said that these people have never been convicted by any court of competent jurisdiction. Now, the point is, the national chairman of your party, when your party was in government,
yes,
made a statement. He said, look, if you have a problem where you are, move over to APC, and your sins will be forgiven. And we have seen that happen. In the light of that, within that context, do you think that anything good will come out of the courts, like we have seen in the recent past, where people within your party have overly influenced court judgments in their favor?
I don't believe in kind of propaganda. That is the gospel truth. Because when you say influence court judgments, I don't know if you had a privileged information of such influence with the judges or any other aspect of that influence. The Nigerian judiciary is an independent...
Prince, are you satisfied with the judiciary we have today?
As a matter of fact, it's an emerging process.
Prince, are you satisfied with the judiciary we have today?
Forget about the okay, we are 100% satisfied with the way it is, but it is emerging. We believe that the reform that... Are you not satisfied with Lagos judiciary, for instance, today? Have you had any of these kind of court orders and the rest of them from Lagos State in the past 8 to 20 years? Somebody reformed there, and the person is holding the mantle of leadership today. And you can see the digitization that is going on in Nigerian judiciary, which is the first process of trying to separate people from meeting these court workers and the judges. Because the first thing is that if you want to kill corruption, it is not an active approach of arresting people. You be proactive about it, just like what I keep saying. When there is no food in the church, you will find a rat. So by the time you separate the people from the court processes, assignment of cases, and the process of court orders, they have no business with the workers and administrative personalities in the courts, in the judiciary. Then you reduce that corruption to the minimal level. Like what you have in Lagos, you have a reformed judiciary system in Lagos State. And the person who introduced all these reforms is at the helm of affairs.
Some persons will also ask, how reform is it that the Lagos judiciary system is, given the fact that we have a particular individual who happens to be a former Speaker of the House, being voted out by the people who also appointed him to be the Speaker, and suddenly we're getting little information of how some persons visited a particular man, and the man has been reinstated after statements were being made. Now let's bring it back to the studio, Dr. Oluwaseun Ganiyu. Some persons were of the opinion that this move, this exodus, from PDP to APC in Delta State, have some of the motives behind it. Some say that Sheriff was trying to be able to fight out the likes of Ned Nwoko, who left PDP for APC because he was promised to receive Anioma State. But now we know that the state, they can't create the state for as what we got now on our table. Now, do you think that this is more like a way to get into APC, destabilize the party, the way they've been accused of destabilizing other opposition parties for the 2027 election?
Oh, that's a brilliant question. When you look at the election that was won by Sheriff, and between Sheriff and Omoagege, then it could be like a camel trying to pass through the eye of a needle, right? And I think they were proactive, and in the strategy they discovered that they might likely not win the 2027 election being the fact that being the way the PDP party is going, because in real sense you could see that there's no coordination in the party itself. When you look at one or two things what Natasha was facing, nobody was able to stand for her, right? Look at what Fubara was facing, nobody was able to stand. That's why despite the fact of the excesses of Wike, you can give it to Wike. When the governor of my state was about to come into power, then it was the one that supported him. When was Obaseki in his first state, it was the one that supported Obaseki. So when Wike withdrew, Obaseki lost. Right, so in those parties, you need to have some people like Wike that could stand by you and run the terrain by you, the rough road with you. And when you discover now that it's more or less like PDP becoming a shadow of itself, and they saw all their writing on the wall and looking and say perhaps they might likely match up with SDP, and perhaps SDP will be now the ruling party. So I think with their projection, they discovered that they might likely not win the 2027 election. That is why they make this move. Aside from all their corruption malpractices, trying to be able to escape justice, right? They know that coming the election, look at it's a massive movement, which I don't think it has ever happened in any state before. You see the former governor, the governor himself, the deputy governor, the speaker. It's just like a swamp. It's more or less like they said that PDP, you are dying in this state, we are making, and you can see all over time. Delta State has been a PDP state. And take for instance, once APC takes Delta State, are more or less infiltrating River State. And I can tell you for free, you know, Fubara has gone to UK to meet the president. Maybe the same thing will play out in River State. Okay. So maybe the same thing will play out in River State, and then they now. So once APC hijacked those two states, then what's left?
Dr. Gani, do you foresee trouble in Delta State ahead of 2027 or maybe 2027 election? I ask this question in the light of the fact that rumor mills have it that, look, Festus Keyamo, the 7th Minister of Aviation, had already been promised the ticket for Delta State. That is one. We saw Ned Nwoko move over from the PDP to the APC. One, because he said they promised me Anyoma State, and he's interested in becoming governor, either of Anyoma or of Delta State. That is two. Now we have Omo Agege still there in the APC. Now we have a former governor, Ifan Yokowa, lead his protege, Sheriff, to APC. Technically speaking, because all of them have joined the APC now, the serving governor becomes the leader of the party in the state. Automatically, technically speaking. Now, do you see a situation where there will be infighting within the APC? Festus Keyamo, you know him, very vibrant, braggadocio, he's always fighting, he's always spoiling for a fight. Whatever he needs, he goes after it. Same with Ifeanyi, same with all these characters. What do you think will happen in Delta State in 2027? Are they setting themselves up for a loss because of the infighting?
I can tell you. Now, let me start with Festus Keyamo. Since the time he's verged into politics, he has calmed down, right? He's no longer the Festus Keyamo we know, right? Mm-hmm. He has more or less relax, right, and compromise on a lot of things. And this will become a party brouhaha, right? So these are things, what they will just do for them, they might give him one of the solid party ministers. They might give him a very strong post in minister, right? And they will still keep Festus Keyamo. They might now move me from maybe aviation minister and give him one juicy portfolio, right? I don't foresee there will be issue in that. Yes, Omagege will just come in and say that, okay, this is way, let's settle this amicably. These are what you're going to give me to support that. And they will now promise him that after 2027, the next one you'll be coming. Just come to join the queue, right? So I don't foresee any issue because this is a very good win for APC as a whole.
So you don't think that after the 2017 election that the people that cross-capital or migrated to APC will also leave the party? Because, you know, from all indication, it's more like the reason for this movement is for the ticket. is for that particular election. So after it, do you perceive or do you think that the likes of Sharif, the likes of Arthur Ifan Yokowa and others will still be party members to APC?
Depending on who wins the #1 seat. Okay. Now, with the new law they are trying to pass, right, saying the governorship election and the president election should be in a day, right, which is fair enough. It cut costs, right, and it also reduces a lot of compromise, because once somebody wins the #1 seat, it's general, yes, and it also influences the decision of the populace or who they vote for as a governor. So with that making it one day, so if the SDP, there's no selfish interest, there's no self-centered, and they were trying to feature Peter Obi, right? Okay. And they put their heads together the way APC does that, and perhaps the man win the ticket, then there's a tendency for them to not cross carpet to be okay. Let me quickly ask.
Sorry, you know, I want us, because I'm still interested in this infighting of a thing, you know. Because if you talk about appointments here and there, the state can only get at best 2, but you have more. Many stalwarts juggling for that position. And let's go back to Abia State ahead of 2023. Alex Oti was in APC. OUK, Ojus Okalo, was in APC. Nkiri Onyejocha was in APC. Uchoga was in APC. What's his name? Ikeche Menike was in APC. Henrico was in APC. Big wigs, all in their strength. And all of them were juggling for that same position, either by his proxy or for self. At the end of the day, Alex Oti pulled out and went to Labour Party. He took a chunk of the APC and went to Labour Party. At the end of the day, the infighting continued. So if Alex had stayed within the APC and got the ticket, they would have been able to dislodge the PDP. But because they didn't do that, APC came a distant third. In the elections, Oti came first, PDP second, and APC APC third. What I'm saying is, because of the infighting, do you think that these people are setting them? Don't you think they are setting themselves up for failure? Because if any of these big wigs moves out of the APC and lands in another party, maybe APP or even Labour Party, is there a possibility that he could take it from them? I'm just asking.
As we speak, the only party we know that are potent are APC and Labour Party because of his presidential candidate, right, which is trying to restructure ahead of the 2027 election, because I is not even sure maybe the SDP will give him that ticket, so he needs to put his house together. And the next one is PDP. So if they totally moved from PDP to APC, so no one is left in PDP, right? And nobody wants to go to, and because there have never been ABGA coming up in Delta, right? There have never been the parties that have been fighting for the seat in Delta is normally APC and PDP, right? And so once APC have taken the land, right, and as we speak now, Rivers State is also at the verge of, yes, because Fubara also, it will choose, and it's a life of survivor, right? So what will benefit me if I die for a party and lose her? So since he has gone to speak in the UK, right, and coming back, they just settle amicably. We are brothers. Let all of us go. Let's go.
Okay. I want to come back to Prince Nixon, the prince himself. Prince Nixon, are you still with us?
I'm with you.
All right, great. Now, I mean, the president has been credited to be a master strategist, and you've also enunciated that this morning. We see a situation whereby some Nigerians are concerned that the president seems to be working Nigeria into a one-party state. What do you think about Nigeria becoming a one-party state? Do you share the fears of Nigerians if Nigeria is or becomes a one-party state?
I don't see Nigeria becoming a one-party state, in the sense that when you look at on the other side, the personalities and the political figures that are lining up on the other end can never collapse to one-party states. The likes of Atiku Abubakar, former Governor El-Rufai has been there from days of Olusegun Obasanjo till today. He's not a pushover in politics. P2B is another person. So we can't be saying, but the only thing everybody should look at is that Nigeria is moving into a more political stability and security stability. And which is what I feel that's President Tinubu had been able to achieve in APC. And it's the ideology and that particular certainty and the security that most of these governors are running into APC, and most of these people, there will be in the coming days, there will be massive movements into APC. But at the end of the day, there will be realignment, and other parties will still stand strong. Maybe not very strong, but I'm very certain that APC is going to win 2027. I start saying it from the one that there is no opposition, no visible opposition.
Sorry to interrupt your train of thought now. Before I bring it back to the studio and then we wrap up this conversation and move to the next one. We've seen campaign banners, campaign trains already in Delta State and also in some parts of the country. Are you, as a political analyst, as you know, one who has followed politics in Nigeria for quite a long time, are you comfortable with the fact that campaigns have started already when it's not ideally time for campaigning? Is your party, because I mean this is largely the handiwork of the APC, is the APC breaking the law here? Is it okay for the APC to break this law?
Honestly speaking, sometimes I want to. You are actually standing in for PDP that have lost a voice in Nigeria.
Because no, I'm just asking the general question that Nigerians
because
are asking.
why I'm saying this is the president himself and the party have long time ago distanced themselves from all these things you're seeing. And have you not also thought that opposition elements could also play such games to discredit the ruling party and make us
look
about
back Delta State now? We saw just yesterday Ned Nwoko, there were banners with Ned Nwoko and the president around town in Delta State. There were other banners in Delta State. Campaign train, full campaign train. I wish we would play that video for you right now to maybe, you know, but the full campaign train. And it's not, I mean, this is Ned Nwoko, this is APC.
As a matter of fact, I have not seen the video you're talking about, but I know very well that when the people are going for some either solidarity or some party events, there are some banners you see, but you don't call that a campaign train, or you don't call that a campaign banner or all that. But as far as the president and the APC is concerned, they've distanced themselves from any form of campaign. Moreover, we're talking about governance. It's the opposition element that are just making noise all over the streets. We are looking at giving Nigerians the reason why they voted the party.
Those videos or pictures or campaign train have not been arrested for them to actually exonerate themselves from the fact that they were not the ones that sent them to do it. So if you say that the people who are doing all this are members of the opposition, how come the present administration have not, you know, arrest the people who are perpetuating that for them to be able to be calmed down?
Is there any law prohibiting anybody from freedom of movement in Nigeria?
But we have the law that says that people should not be campaigning until when it is time, stipulated by the election umpire INEC in Nigeria for campaign properly to begin in the nation.
As a matter of fact, I don't see what they are doing as campaign unless you see it as otherwise.
Even people carrying brooms. The other day, Ned Nwoko was in somewhere close to Asaba. Also, we see him talking to people of Ogashukwu, even with brooms and all that.
That was not campaign. As far as I'm concerned, when a city senator visits his people, his constituency, to address them, how does that form to a campaign? And if people individually decide to show solidarity and print whatever they like, it's done in America. Support for president, support for senator, support for this one. It doesn't still amount to campaign.
Okay, Prince Nixon, one last question.
Yes.
If former Vice President Atiku Abubakar comes to APC, is he welcome?
The party is a big ship for everybody, to accommodate everybody. He's welcome. After all, he was in APC before. And you know, he's very unstable with party alignment and defection. So anything can happen.
Is there a possibility that, okay, like you said, anything can happen? So there's a possibility he could come back?
The only reason is because I don't see him. You know, Atiku Abubakar has demonstrated a lot of power hunger and desperate nature in politics. So, being the fact that he understands that 2027 there is no vacancy in Aso Rock, I don't see him aligning with the present status quo. It is not possible. It's almost impossible. And that is why you see that the coalition they are trying to form is just like an ill-fated flight that is heading for a crash. It's going to hit a rock soon, because I do not see him stepping down for anybody. I do not see him, and if in that situation,
Okay.
how would
All right
they
then.
form a formidable opposition? It's not possible.
Okay. All right then. Thank you very much. We're running out of time, but I was going to call you Prince now. Dr. Ganyu Oluwashola. Now we see a situation whereby Governor Umar Eno of Akwa Ibom is endorsing the president for 2027, and we see other governors of the PDP also endorsing the president for 2027. Can we confidently say PDP is dead?
I would like to indirectly, right? You will look at it like that, because more or less, leadership is everything, right? Once there is a crack in leadership, it's dovetailed to the town, right? Once you could say that is one of the things that is a pain to Wicked, and say once Atiku, after the election, he moves to Dubai, he comes back again, approaching the election as if the people around are dumb, right? As if they don't have strategy or plan. You see, how bad Wicked is, you can still give it to him. This is the first time he's trying to cross carpet to another party, and he's still saying that I'm not leaving PDP. Right? You will not see him cross carpeting. Like, if you talk about Atiku, you know how many times he has left PDP to APC, juggling for a specific seat. Look at El Rufai, he has also cross carpeted. Right? Talk about any one of them. Most of them has cross carpeted until they look for what they want. And just let me align myself with Prince. Atiku might not go because he knows that there is no ticket for him. He will only go to a place if he can be confidently given a ticket. And giving him a ticket
So
in 20...
going to the SDP?
It's already there. It's
Okay,
already
so
there.
PDP is dead.
More or less like that.
Okay.
More or less like that. I'm not saying that, but more or less like that. You could see, because even in Lagos, the guy that went on the platform of PDP, what's his name, that went... yeah.
Jando,
It's more or less like leaving the party.
He has left. He has moved to the APC.
So you can see indirectly in Lagos there's no other opposition party, right? Delta is more or less.
But he was also in the APC before he moved to the PDP.
So you could see most of them. So when you look at track record, indeed, being honest, it's only few people that are being consistent with PDP and never leave that place. And that's why you can see the party already becoming a shadow of itself. We don't know what will happen to Oyo State, right? Because you see now that it's more or less like one of the standing people, and you say Bauchi too. So it's only few of them that are still holding forth, saying that, we still have the kind of alliance on this part, trusting that it's going to stand and it's still going to pull weight.
All right, then. Well, let's get into another conversation now. Now we're looking at the educational sector. Tinubu's 50 billion naira educational splash sparks doubt, as ASUU says, show us proof. We haven't seen the money. Where is the money? Show me the money. That's what they're saying. Let's talk about this when we come back. Join us again.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Well, thanks for joining us again. Now, President Bola Tinubu's administration is once again in the spotlight after announcing the release of 50 billion naira to settle earned allowances of university staff, a move hailed by the Ministry of Education as a bold testament to the president's commitment to revamping Nigeria's educational sector. However, this was quickly doused by skepticism from the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, who claim the government's announcement is all talk, no transfer. ASUU President Professor Emmanuel Shodeko dismissed the declaration as a mere political PR stunt, asserting that the union has seen no proof of payment or has not seen a proof of payment, either on paper or in the bank account. Shodeko further criticized the government's attempt to lump various university unions under one payment umbrella, calling it a misrepresentation of negotiated agreements. Well, while government officials bask in the praise of uninterrupted academic session and Tinubu's education first rhetoric, ASUU insists that trust must be earned with action, not just announcements. Oh well, we still have with us Prince Nixon Okwara, who is joining us virtually from Port Harcourt. And right here in the studio, we have Dr. Ganiu Oluwashola. So I would like to start off with Dr. Ganiu on this one. Yesterday, there was the announcement that monies have been paid to ASUU, who has been asking for, these monies to sort out remuneration and other issues. But now, ASUU is saying we haven't seen the money. What are your thoughts on this? And then I would like you to juxtapose your response with the fact that we've seen minimal strike action in the past 2 years. Very minimal strike from ASUU. Should the president be credited for such?
Okay. So,
or were they threatened not to go on strike?
Definitely, you know that there's a law that says that no work, no pay, right? And an average citizen, it's also still loyal to his stomach, right? Also have bills to pay, and they see the precedent of their colleagues not being paid, right? So for me, I think there should not be a kind of gap in our educational system, because they say how educated a country is depends on how bright the future of that country will be. In the early 80s, I can tell you freely that people comes from abroad to come and teach in Nigeria. I can still remember my account teacher was a German, right? Because they have this. They believe that Nigeria has a very good education background, right? Then if you leave Nigeria to go and study outside the country, they'll see you as a dullard. That because you cannot pass Nigeria or Nigeria exam, that's why you are going to Ghana or UK, right? So that's how strong our educational system was then, right? It's painful that the whole thing is already degenerating. Then, as a lecturer in the university, you enjoy, right? I can take you back in history. When you get a job, perhaps in NNPC then, right, and you got a job as the lecturer one in the university, right, the person that they get a job in NNPC will be sober because he won the job in lecturer one. So they will just tell the person that got a job in NNPC, assuming like that don't worry, just use it as a starting point. Later on, you will move to the lecturing strength. So at every six months, like six months, 3 months, they change their wardrobe. They give them a comfort of living, right? And which make it a juicy environment and make them have a sane environment to study. And now fast forward, in 2024, federal inland revenue make around, I think, 41 trillion as a revenue. Out of that 41 trillion, we have a lot of trillion there, which I don't have figure for education tax, because in line with the extant tax law, a company is made to pay 30% from their income tax, right? Take for instance, a company make 100 million profit after tax, right? Profit before tax. So 30% of that 100 million, which is 30 million, goes to the government automatically. And 3% of that 30 million, right, which is 3% of that 100 million, which is 3 million, goes to the government. Now take for instance, a company make 1 billion, right? Make 100 billion. So which means that 30 billion goes to the government as company income tax and 3 billion goes to the government as education tax. So put all these resources together, because the government says that the reason why we have multiple taxes is saying that, oh, we don't have so much fund to fund our educational system. Let us make it PPP, public-private partnership. Let us ensure that we got money from private organization as part of their obligations to the government, so that we have a lot of money to be able to run governance. So the question is that, where do we keep this money? Who is accounting for it? Where is the education minister? Where is the finance minister? How do we account for so much money? We are not telling government that you should take money from other votes, from other heads, to come and put it in the education sector. We are saying that the money that is specifically collected from organization, private enterprise, right, to be able to fund education, we call to be able to fund education, where is the money? How do we account for it? Because these guys are now coming saying that we can't even see the money. We are giving them even a minute 50 billion to be able to sort out arrears, and they say we did not even see the money. So the question is that, where is the, and if private organization fail to give this money, you are going to sanction them, they will be penalized, and they'll be threatened for sealing up their company. And they were able to contribute to governance. And governance is just about you are staying there and say that we are going to use your resources for the satisfaction of the citizen. So who is accounting for this money? Our education system must not feel this heat, because we already create a fund for them to be able to just go into that fund, pull out the fund, and fund this educational sector, so that there will not be gap in that system, right? So that our educational system will be at a good state, not that clamoring for this and asking for fund where we have the fund already there.
There's a data that we have here that says that the 3%, which according to the Finance Act 2023 as amended, that's 11 laws, states that just last year, 2024, the TED fund rakes in 1.5 trillion naira education tax in 2024. Now, Prince Nixon Okoro, let me come to you with this question. How far do you think Nigerians now in general, I'm talking about a lot of us here in this country, because when this news about the 50 billion naira, being paid to ASUU broke yesterday, so many people were reacting on X.com. Some persons were calling it audio money. Some persons were saying, okay, another lamba, another lies, and all that. Even with Professor himself, the chairman of ASUU, coming up to say, we have not seen this a lot yet. How far do you think this present administration, is going to take Nigerians on this ride, from to use that word, for us to be able to rectify the trust deficit that's more like prevailing here in this country? Because trust is what we don't have. Deficit is already prevailing in Nigeria.
It's just that I think what is happening here is calling the dog a bad name just to hang it, especially once we are making a new road into the politics political era, a lot of people tend to manipulate so many analysis or storylines just to curry favor or win the masses' support. It may not be far from what the present reality is. If the federal government, this government, for certain reasons, can be trusted, because you can see a lot of reforms they promised and they've actually implemented that, both in increased budget allocation to that education sector and so many other areas, which they have actually done a lot of improvements, unlike the successive governments. So I think we are reacting so much about this. After all, we have had the NEL fund, a situation whereby some of the students are saying, we have not received this money, and the government have proved to a certain extent that this money is still within the universities.
How possible is it, Prince Nixon, that money is being paid into ASUU's account, and even the ASUU national chairman, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, is not aware? We have not even seen the alert or receive any thing to show that, yes, a certain amount of money has been paid into this union's account. How possible is that?
You see, when you are going through some institutional reforms, do not be surprised of certain glitches or hitches, either electronic hitches or under the ICT, administrative or anything. But all I know there is that the simple thing there is that you understand there is a communication gap.
Okay. Okay, Prince, straight off, Osoroke said the 15 billion naira we have not seen. I'm not sure anybody can spin around it to say it's a glitch in the electronic transmission transfer process or whatever. The point remains, Osoroke has come out to say the 50 billion naira, we have not seen it. Now, my question is this. Within the education sector, a lot of Nigerians, are crying out that, look, Nigeria is undergoing what they call total state capture. They talk about the legislature being captured. They talk about the judiciary being captured. They talk about the oil industry being captured. And my colleague here, Moses, asked a question. For a while now, there's been a lull in protests, like threats about going on a strike or what. Is it part of the clampdown? Is it part of the state capture? Don't you think that your party has also captured the education sector to the extent that, look, even their children don't attend public universities. Children of people in government attend private universities where they pay heavily. And in all of this, are there sprinkles of achievements within the education sector that you think that this present administration has made to have allowed ASUU not make threats about going to strike or whatever? Have you also captured the education sector?
That's what I was saying. When you look at what they call the promoting that STEM education, the science and laboratory innovations, smart classroom, teachers' welfare and training, curriculum modernization, there are a lot of things they've done. Even the autonomy we're talking about, this country is going through a lot of institutional reforms, both financial reforms and increased funding to that sector. We have seen what is happening in the TED funds, interventions, and improved infrastructure, both research and all that. So there's a lot of money in the system. But you see, when policies are made and institutions...
I'm sorry, Prince, talking about TED fund. You stay in Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt. I don't know where exactly. You're always on the move, by the way. In any of all these places, have you gone in the University of Port Harcourt, is there any new structure? In Unilag, is there any new structure? In University of Abuja, in any of these federal universities, do you see new structures springing up? Because students still attend lectures in cramped classrooms.
I want you to get something straight, like I told you. Mind you, there are a lot of projects that is in 2024. The President Tinubu implemented 2023 budgets of President Buhari. His first budget that he's implementing is 2024. Then we have just started the budget of 2024 will be ending by June. And when you look at some of these projects that they are ongoing in so many places.
Exactly my point. Are you able to, on top of your fingers, mention like one or two of these projects?
I don't have the records of what the TED fund is doing, but I know that in the budget.
Okay, you don't have the records, but you know.
I don't have the records yet. Yes,
but you know.
But I know that there are a lot of projects going on in the TED funds. There's a lot of projects going on under the ministries of the works. There's a lot of projects going on in several schools. So many of these teachers and lecturers, why you see them not going to? They have seen
exactly the question Nigerians are asking. These projects, are they audio projects? Because
they are not
ASUU
audio. They are
came out
there.
to say, government said they gave us 50 billion naira. We can't find it.
That's what I'm saying. There is every possibility that there's communication gap.
Okay, more like sabotage from the opposition.
Or there is a sabotage somewhere. Anything could have happened. But mind you that there is a reform. The federal government has a change of payment platform and so many reforms that is going on. So this, just like when banks were cutting over from, is it Pinnacle or what they were doing in those days, we see some transfers hanging, we see so many things not coming, we see a lot of issues. Even when the banks are doing their monthly reconciliations alone, in the financial sector, you see the complaints with our ATM cards, the interswitch are not working, and so many things. So the Nigeria is still emerging. There are still technology challenges we are going through back here. There is every possibility in between.
Prince, can I ask you a personal question? Can I ask you a very personal question? And I expect you to be very honest.
Yes.
When was the last time you, as an individual, made a bank transfer and it failed?
Last week.
Last week.
Yes.
Has it been reversed?
After almost 1 week.
Okay.
So if this is
after almost 1 week,
transfer glitch, we'll probably wait 1 week. I guess ASUU should wait for the transfer to be rectified.
But more, if you're saying this is a transfer,
no, it's a
Monday was a holiday. Friday was a holiday.
Yeah,
almost the whole of last week. We just came out from the Muslim holiday to Easter Christian holidays. So there could be anything. I'm not speaking for the government because I'm not privy to any of those information. But what I'm trying to say there is that this government has so much integrity that they cannot speak on what they have not done.
Some persons
in
Nigeria will also come up with another different opinion, because the present administration made Nigerians understand during manifesto that if we don't have stable power supply in Nigeria, after he became the president, I'm talking about the present president, that Nigeria shouldn't vote him in 2027, and yet we're still grappling with such.
Sorry, Dr. Gani Oluwashola, do you align with the thoughts that this administration has so much integrity that they will not speak on what they've not done? What are your thoughts now?
Okay, so let me just bring like this, that just when the new administrator in Rivers, when he was appointed, right, and it got into position, right, the sole administrator, right, the local government fund that had been withheld for a long time, when it was released, there was no glitches, right? The money just went directly and they began to spend the money, so there was no glitches. When they were to release fund, there was no glitches. So this becomes, and if it's actually happened, this is what, for transparency's sake, right, and for integrity's sake, should be able to state the bank that they deposited the money to, right, and so the bank will be able to say that it's her network, because also it does not project Nigeria to be a good, even our banking system, it could lead to a lot of questioning in the global space. Because most of our banking sector are shoring outside the shore of Nigeria. They're telling me that a whole government transaction will take perhaps a week or 2 weeks to revert. I did a transfer yesterday, and the whole thing reversed within 24 hours. Even the banking sector will tell you that within 24 hours, it will reverse, and if not...
Or is this a problem of different unions? Because we know that in the educational sector, we've had conflicting unions. I mean, there's ASUU, there's another union that government seems to want to work with. You know, could that be the problem here?
If my sense serves me right, there have not been conflict in that. I think the conflict actually happened in the past administration. We've not seen that there's a division between the ASUU people, right? They maintain consistency in their chairman. Even they were able to even align themselves with the HND, right, to ensure that there's no kind of gap there. So I think the onus is now on the government, right, and say that, perhaps we want to do the transfer and we discover that the fund, we thought we have done the transfer. You know, at times you do the transfer and it shows you that account invalid. Maybe the account is invalid. Perhaps also maybe they thought there was sufficient fund in the account and it couldn't meet up. But it's not actually portraying well to Nigeria, especially because most of us in government, right, Everybody pass through education system. You see, it's appalling, and also it breaks my heart if you are treating our educational system like this, because these are parts. Nobody ever becomes somebody in life that does not pass through educational system, either elementary or tertiary. They actually pass through it. So these are the kind of people that we should give precedence to, we should give more focus to, because teachers, at every point in time, you will deal with teachers, right? To train your children, to train you, even going to adult school, teachers still bear the body. So you must, and the thing is also that if these people are not well taken care of, rather for them being in class, they'll be in farm. Because they need to take care of their bills, right? Rather for them going to school to read, to teach the children, they'll be doing something else, because mentally and psychologically they are not fit for the job. So we should prioritize their welfare above every other thing, so that we can have students that could compete favorably with their contemporary at the global space.
All right, then this will be a good time to move into. You want to ask a question?
Yeah, I want to just get his opinion on the fact that I think by May 29 this year, 2025, the school children feeding program will begin again. And you know, we've not resolved the issue of the 2.67 million naira scandal that happened some time ago when that program was on. And now 100 billion was what I marked for it in this 2025 budget. Now, what do you have to say about that program starting again when we're yet to get results from the 2.6 billion that, you know, we had before for it?
So let me borrow the wise saying from Ziglar, saying that we can't do the same thing the same way and expect different results. So if what we do and people use it as an avenue to siphon money, they use it as an avenue to take the fund to themselves, not reaching the children. So why would we continue like that? And do not still forget, I think the way we react in this country, we react as if all is well. We have over 133 trillion as a loan, both foreign and local loan that we are servicing, right? And we still spend money as if we have so much money in our coffer that we don't know what to use for it. So we still spend money as if there's nothing happening. So these are things, in my line of work, there's what we call prudency concept, right? We must be able to align ourselves and come to reality. This fund that we spend anyhow, can we not divert it to infrastructure so that the money reproduces itself, and see how we could, now the finance minister is actually trying to tow the way of what Okonjo-Iweala did then, to trying to see how we can have debt forgiving and some debt waiver. So, but the question is that, should we still keep begging? So even if they give us, won't we change our skin as a leopard, right? And still change the way we spend money? The other day we see it all around the news that we are going to a place to borrow a money, and we are going with a brand new private jet, as if we already have the money, right? So these are things we must change, so that we don't keep plunging Nigeria into public debt, and so much that in the long run, the country will be struggling for survival.
Oh, well, now let's dive into another conversation. We'd like you gentlemen to stay with us. State of the nation. Nigerians enabling their own oppressors. Now, this is quoting Omoyele Sowore. Do you agree with him? Well, let's talk about this when we come back. Join us again.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as they hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Human rights activist and AAC presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore, in an explosive interview, has launched a stinging critic of President Bola Tinubu's administration, accusing it of arriving not to lead Nigeria, but to bury its remains after the damage done by ex-president Muhammadu Buhari. He questioned the docility of Nigerians, accusing citizens of enabling their own oppression by playing along with a government he described as illegitimate and directionless. On security, Sowore accused the government of weaponizing the military in the southeast while leaving northern communities exposed and underarmed. He noted that in the southeast, there is a checkpoint every kilometer, but in the north, you can go 100 kilometers and not see a single soldier. He lamented, arguing that justice and equity, not bullets, are what the country needs, starting with the unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He concluded by reaffirming his commitment to revolution, not superficial protest, stating that when Nigerians are truly ready, not for protest, but for a revolution, we will be there. And joining us to help analyze this is Prince Nixon Okwara, who we told you earlier is a Managing Director, Onyx Group, and National Chairman, Igbo Stakeholders, and is also a member of the defunct 2023 APC Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you so much, Prince Nixon Okwara, for sitting with us. Now, Prince Nixon, a quick one. What do you have to say about the fact that Omoyele Sowore now is saying or telling Nigerians that a protest is not what we need at this point in time, but he's calling for a revolution, with also another statement saying that when Nigerians are ready for this revolution that he's clamoring or talking about, that every other person will be there. Given the fact that this president's administration, which you also support, have been doing a whole lot, from your own words on your own terms, they've been doing a whole lot to make sure that they push Nigeria forward to a more greener base or a greener pasture zone.
As a matter of fact, some of the anti-democratic forces like Sowore, and it's not somebody I take very seriously, honestly speaking, because he is a constant call for revolution, even when he is a beneficiary of the Nigerian weakened social norms. So it has a lot to question his integrity and his agenda. There is no clear definition of what he wants. Does he want to, is he a politician or is he an activist? What exactly is his direction? What exactly is his focus? What does he want to achieve for Nigerians? So when you see such unstable characters who are just interested in getting to power, we have seen their likes. The moment one government or the other decide to recognize him and shut him up, you see him align and start speaking from the two sides of the mouth. So what I think, Nigerians are not enabling their oppressors. Rather, we Nigerians are resilient people who have in certain times demanded for change. During the military era, Nigeria stood firm. During the part of Jonathan's, Nigeria stood firm and demanded for a reversal of the pump increase, fuel price increase. Also, if you look at what is happening in the electricity reform and the rest of them, Nigerians are very demanding, but it's just that many Nigerians are conforming to democratic principles and institutional framework, and they're doing things accordingly. For somebody like Sowore, who has not achieved anything with his constant political contest and strategy, coming from the fact that he's part of Sahara Group and the rest of the people who have never seen anything good in any government from the beginning to today. I have not seen where Sowore has commended any particular policy of any government.
Okay, Prince, I'm happy that you said he's not seen anything good in any government. And I'm happy too that you didn't limit it to the APC government. So apparently, what he's doing is to spotlight what goes wrong in every government, especially this government of the APC. And you seem to have a problem with the fact that Sowore is a politician and an activist at the same time. Should that be a problem? If you go to Brazil, Lula da Silva was a labor activist. He eventually became the president and did well for Brazil. And if you go to Poland, Lech Walesa was a labor activist, eventually became president and did well for Poland. If you go to Myanmar, you have Aung San Suu Kyi, you know, I hope I got it correctly. She was an activist and became a president and did well for her people. I can go on and on in other parts of the world. So what problem do you have with Sowore? No, you seem to have, because you say he has not done anything.
Personal problem.
No, I didn't say it's personal, Prince. I didn't say it's personal.
Yes, but
you question the fact that is he a politician, is he an activist? And at least I've given you 3 names globally that were activists turned politicians, and they did well for their people.
But the fact is that Sowore has neither turned politician or activist.
So what is he?
He's still dangling in between. He's still working for one group or whatever that we don't know. He has no clear direction. Look, go and check the people you mentioned. Both activism and politics are all catalysts for change. We agree on that. So, but there has to be a clear definition of what someone stands for. We agree with you that if you're an activist and eventually you have a political platform to put and make real what you are championing or what you believe that should be done. But it's not that today.
Okay, so Prince, you clearly don't agree with Sowore that we need a revolution in Nigeria, whether it is a benign one or a violent one. Which one will you prefer, a benign revolution or a violent one? Do we actually need a revolution in this country to clean up, more like to clean the urgent table? Do we need it?
As a matter of fact, we don't need a revolution now in Nigeria because there will be no Nigeria. So any lover of Nigeria will not be calling for revolution now. Let's be sincere about it.
Okay, do we need a revolution of the mind? You know, mind change by the people.
Exactly. We can be talking about revolution of our mindset. We should start from him, Sowore himself. It should start from him. How many times has Sowore gathered his people to give accountability of all the money that people are contributing or donating for what they are doing, either in the activism or in the politics? His political party, how many times have we seen any form of transparency in his dealings or elections or whatever?
Talking about Nigerian people now, you know, not enabling their oppressors, because you made mention of that earlier, Prince Nixon Okwara. For example, here in Nigeria, we see members of the National Assembly, you know, who collect a huge sum of money in the name of a constituency project. And we see some of them come up with giving people tires. The other time it was a wheelbarrow. Yesterday I landed in Ebonyi State. You know, someone that was giving out pots, steel pots to people to say, this is what I'm empowering you. This is part of my constituency project to you as a person or as a people. And also, you know, we've seen a whole lot of, I can continue to count how these people who have been elected and who are using taxpayers' money back now to get people some funny handouts. Isn't that a way of enabling the people who are not really being accountable to them in the nation?
Let me tell you the gospel truth. You see, most of these kind of issues, while I sometimes don't want to start speaking for some of these organs of government or legislative body, is because there is nothing you tell people about the Nigerian system that they will want to understand, especially the oppositions who are making nothing out of it except their propaganda. Let me be honest with you. Most of these constituency projects are not even done by these people. They are just executed by contractors. When you see maybe somebody who is running because of the kind of politics of patronage that the Nigerian people demand, when you look at what happens, somebody wants to go and do what he can afford, buy Indomie or something, you don't think it's constituency projects. The constituency projects are contracted out to contractors. We are not getting some of these things clear. And what you also look at, every day we see some borehole. A lot of communities today are beneficiaries of some of those projects. It is not as if that there has not been some kind of some bad kind of handling or mishandling of such projects in the past, or maybe presidents. No, that's not what we are saying. But the way it's exaggerated, as if that once you get into the legislation, you pack money. A lot of them are even still broke. So many of them cannot even pay their bills because of huge cost of running elections. The same Nigerians are the people who demand, even the journalists, you can't invite them for ordinary briefing without them talking about certain honorarium or the rest of them. In all sectors, the people deserve the leadership they get. So why I agree with Chukwuma, on the revolution of the mind. I think that's what Nigerians need, and it has to start with me. It has to start with you. It doesn't have to start with them, because the people we are seeing in these elected offices are the products of the society. They are the same us who eventually. There is a friend of mine, when I went into the politics and I understood that, unfortunately, then in PDP, I discovered that a lot of people who are waiting to come to steal are more than those who are accusing that have stolen. So when you call a revolution in this state of Nigerian security system, whereby in the north, a lot of agitators, armed struggle is going on in all parts of the northern Nigeria. In all parts of southeast, some people are carrying guns and armed struggle in some parts. There is something in the south, a lot of people. Then you call for revolution. All these people from Libya and the rest of them will bring more arms into Nigeria. Then Nigeria ends. Your life and my life is not as safe anymore. Our properties are destroyed. Is that what Sowore wants? Why don't we continue with the process, especially now that we are seeing for the first time there is an attempted reform in the system since 1999. This is the first time we are seeing a paradigm shift. A dynamic, political dynamics is changing in Nigerian platform. We are seeing these institutional reforms, which is trying to give power to the people, either the local government autonomy.
Okay, Prince. Talking about revolution, nobody is calling for a violent one anyway. But if you go back in history, you also understand that the liberty you and I take for granted today was a product of what happened in France. The French Revolution led by, at a point by Napoleon Bonaparte. Look at Russian Revolution, look at China, the Chinese, even in America, there's been a revolution in parts of Europe. In Romania, in 1989, there was a revolution. And all these places, the people live as normal people in their own homelands. Are we living as normal people in our own homeland? Should we continue in this direction? Prince, should we continue in this direction?
Can I tell you something?
Are you satisfied with the level of progress that we are making as a people?
But the damage did not start today. The damage didn't start today. Let me give you something. If we know that after war, we must come down to round table to discuss and still have peace, because war does not actually bring peace. It doesn't bring coexistence. It's actually a kind of a conquest.
Yes, nations go to war when diplomacy fails. Now, diplomacy seems to be failing because this government is not listening. The governments are not listening.
But this administration is just 2 years. Who said he's not listening? Otherwise, you will not have some policies, some assaults. You will not have some reversal of certain things. The president is listening, seriously. But you don't expect the president to allow these anti-governance elements who are always leveraging the political and democratic institutions to make sure that nothing succeeds. You will not allow him to leave governance for all those who are working oppositions who wants to bring the government down. He won't.
So how do you explain this, Prince Nixon, if you say the government is listening? Nigerians, before the reshuffling of the cabinet, we're talking about a particular people, or rather some persons who were being appointed. We're talking about some ministers that were appointed to man some ministries in Nigeria. Insecurity was also ravaging the nation and all that. And yet, the president during a media chat come up to say that he has vote of confidence. He passed that vote of confidence on all the persons that he also appointed, including the persons that he appointed to say take over the issue of security in the nation. Even up until today, we haven't heard anything about people being asked to leave or more competent persons being appointed to take over those positions.
It depends on what you call more competence. In Nigeria, we have identified seriously that most cases, the problem we have is not about who occupies the seats. Most cases, it is about the weak institutions. And that is what I keep saying. And I don't know how I want to tell you that the problem here, irrespective of who you put in charge of a weak institutions, nothing will thrive. Democracy is a system of government that sometimes is difficult to fight some of this terrorism. And that's when the president comes to wear the big stick and decide to declare a state of emergency somewhere, the same people will criticize. There is a problem you have sometimes is when you fight for the people, you will use in another hand to wage war from the same people you're fighting for. Right, this is the situation in the country. I think what the president is doing here now is, by the time, look at when Jonathan was there, they came against Jirika.
We're absolutely out of time, unfortunately. I know there's a lot more to be said, but we're out of time. But before we let you go, you just made a revelation, and that startled me. I never knew you were a member of the PDP at some point. For how long were you a member of the PDP?
As a matter of fact, at the early stage of PDP, all of us went in there at the formative stage, and we discovered
so
that
was
this,
it?
huh?
So was it a your move from the PDP to the APC? Was it an ideological shift?
It was based on ideological,
or an
because when we
account
realized
boost?
that PDP has no vision for Nigeria, it is just about a particular set of people who just want to continue to hold power for some regional interests and manipulating others.
Okay, so it's an ideological shift, not a
Yes.
bank
No,
account boost.
no. Even my political position today is not based on partisan politics per se, but based on I believe that since Nigerian politics is all about partisan politics, I need to be in a party to effect the changes I think we need in the society. And
All
I'm
right, then.
contributing my quota
All
and
right,
hope
then.
to
Thank you
contribute
very
better.
much. Thank you very much, Prince Nixon Okwara. Thanks for staying with us on the program. We do appreciate you for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it on the show today. Join us again at 10 o'clock for a newspaper review. On behalf of my colleagues, Chukuma Okoro, Fina Okechukwu, I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day. Bye for now.